Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. My name is Vincenzo. Welcome to my channel, Fountain Pen Therapy. Today we're going to move away from the Neapolitan pen manufacturers that I'm so fond of and that I've been concentrating on for the last several videos. But we're going to be staying in Italy. Today we're going to be reviewing a pen manufactured by an outfit that's situated in Florence, and I have several of their pens, and I've got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that their pens are just exquisite and extremely well priced. So I think you get quality, design, and craftsmanship, and at very, very reasonable prices. And there's all kinds of well thought of and well designed fountain pens, one of which I'm going to be reviewing today. So the company's name is Stipula. It is a manufacturer of long tradition. I think it's been operating in Florence since the 1930s. High quality pens, as I've stated, use of metal, acrylics, gold nibs, steel nibs. They make their own nibs, I believe, anyway. When I look at them, and we'll see one of them anyway in just a few seconds. I don't believe they are Jowo, or I don't believe they're probably more Bach than they are Jowo. But certainly, I think they're handmade, or they're not handmade. They're in-house at Stipula. The resin they use is fabulous. You know, it uses gold trimmings, silver trimmings. So without further ado, if you will, I'm just going to shift the camera, and we're going to go to the overhead camera, and here's the pen that we will be looking at today. Isn't that gorgeous? It's by the name of the Stipula. Let me just move that. It's the Stipula Etruria. There's many pens that have the same design, okay? And that's the Etruria design. Etruria, well, is an ancient region of Tuscany. So this is, I believe, a homage to that ancient region of Tuscany. And you'll find various pens really of similar design with the similar band and similar clip, but use of different resins. This particular resin is a transparent rainbow, so multicolored resin, and its official name is the Etruria Rainbow Prisma, and it's a limited edition. I'm sure if the camera can pick that up now that I have the ink there, but it is a numbered edition, okay, if you will. I believe this is 126 out of 351, if I can see it properly. Look at this pen. It is just absolutely gorgeous. One of the things is that now that the ink is there, you don't appreciate the transparency, but you could see the piston filler mechanism. It's transparent. You know, it's a demonstrator, but with a rainbow resin. So I think it's unique. I don't believe I've seen another pen like it, and I'm very, very happy with it. In fact, so happy that I believe I own 3 of these. So that's a short description, but let's look at the detail here. You can see that there is handcrafted. By the way, these pens are all handcrafted, obviously in Italy, and you can see the band here. There's a sort of a leaf design, which is typical of the Etruria, and look at that clip. Isn't that gorgeous? That clip is just fabulous. So it's a matte silver trimming. Okay, that's the outside, and nothing on the finials to speak of. You know, there's a piston filler, and we'll get to that in a second. In terms of the inside, here's that nib that I was talking to you about. It's got the Stipula branding on it. And this is a stub, believe it or not. But because I enjoy stubs, but I always said to myself, what, I have the 1.1s and I have the 1.5, and I believe in number 5 nibs you can find 1.2s or 1.4. But I always said to myself, if I can get something lower than 1 in a stub, that would be great. I could, a little more fine writing with the sensation of the stub. And I found one. This is, I think, 0.9 stub. So it's a thinner stub. And I bought this. Let me just switch to my computer. I bought this at the Stliograph Corsani. It's an Italian outfit. And Salvatore here, when I bought my pen, these rainbow stipulas, I bought them at this site, and it came with that stub. And when I got it, I actually complained to Salvatore, and I said, "Well, wait a minute, this is not the stub," because it was so thin. And he wrote to me and he explained to me it's a thinner stub, but that if I wanted, I can get the larger. And then what I did is I realized the nib needed some fine tuning, and with the fine tuning, I was so happy with that nib that I wrote back to my friend Salvatore, and I said, you know what? I apologize. These nibs are fantastic. In fact, I like them so much. Can you send me over 5? And he sent me 5 nibs. And, a year later, I asked for another 5. So you'll find them in many of my pens, just because I think it's probably, when you want to fine writing, it's just fabulous. So, thank you, Salvatore, and I'll leave in the description below, just his website, just in case you're interested. The reason for I mentioned that is that I find that his site is also sells some lot of variety of pens of all kinds, and I think he's extremely, extremely well priced. So please encourage my friend Salvatore. I'm not getting any kickbacks. I'm not getting any commission from him. I'm just being very, very frank and honest. When somebody out there does something right, well, I think we deserve to mention it. So that's the pen interior. Just to repeat, it is a piston filler. Now, if there is one drawback to this pen, let me mention it right away. You have to be patient, but this doesn't dismantle very easily, okay? And when it's time to wash this out and keep turning this thick piston filler, it's not the easiest of chores. I can tell you have to be very, very patient. You can get it done. You can remove the nib by it's just a pressure fitted, and it helps. And I think once in a while you also have to lubricate it so that the piston does turn properly. If there is one drawback, and that's, I guess, a drawback with any sort of piston fillers that are difficult to get to, that's it. But I can't find very many other, and it's also oversized. Right? It's an oversized, I think, and really bold. It makes a bold statement. In fact, now that we're talking about oversized, let me take out my fountain pen therapy fountain pen box, open it up, and we'll do a size comparison. And I decided that I get away a little bit from Italian pens. Some of you might be saying, does he collect anything else other than Italian, or does he collect anything else other than Neapolitan pens? Yes, I do, ladies and gentlemen, I do. I have plenty of, in fact, I have more pens from elsewhere than I do from Italy, but I just to mention that. So here it is in the middle, compared to the recently reviewed Stardust This is the new Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero Grande 2.0 that I recently reviewed. You can tell it's almost just as big, and this is a good sized pen. This is my ST, and this too is very very well sized, and so if it can compete, and I mentioned ST, my mistake, my Edison I meant. So it is almost as big as my Edison, if not exactly. This is a Conklin, no, this is a Monteverde. The Monteverde, it's thick, just a little bit shorter. Then I have one of my Opus 88s. This is one version, and that's the bigger version. This is a huge version. By the way, somebody had asked me where I got this, and I mentioned in one of my previous videos that I had a number 8 size nib. Well, actually, my number 8 size nib, as I mentioned to the gentleman, and I replied to him, is now in my Ranga Splendor, I believe it is. But I do have a Bach titanium nib in this pen, and I got to tell you, it's just fabulous. So that's another version of the Opus 88. So that's obviously a little bit bigger than the Stipula. And then I wanted to compare it to one of my Rangas, one of my ebonite Rangas, and you can tell it's just, the Ranga is just slightly smaller. So there you have it. It gives you a good idea. I think it's an oversized, it's a large pen, which is fine with me. I enjoy large pens. So now, let's get to the writing sample. First things first, the ink that I decided to put into this pen today is the Mont Blanc, it's upside down, the Mont Blanc green, Irish green. Very nice green. I always have a hard time finding nice vivid greens. They're either on the yellowish tint, either on the brown tint. You take a look at some of the internet photographs, you think you're getting a solid green, and it's never the green that I want. This green is the green that I want. So I have several bottles, and I go through it fairly quickly. It's one of my favorite greens, so when we mention green, I figured I'd put my favorite green ink in one of my favorite pens, which is the Stipula Rainbow. So that's the ink. In terms of the journal that I want to mention today, for some of you that are not aware, and I know the fans and the collectors know all about Hobonichi, but Hobonichi, first of all, has my favorite paper, which is the Tomo River paper. And what's unique about these Hobonichi Techno 2019 cousins is that they're an agenda, and it has dates, one day in every for every page. This was my 2019 Hobonichi. It also has a variety of the months and weekly calendars. Every month is represented by different colors. In fact, at one point I was using these Hobonichi journals to collect my swatches, ink swatches, because they were color coded. So my red inks were there, my purple. And then I quickly realized I didn't have enough pages, so that went out the window. So this is an old one, so I'm just going to indiscriminately choose a page, and we could start my writing sample. Let me just focus in a little bit with my camera so that we could proceed. By the way, it does post. It is a heavy pen because of that piston filler, so I wouldn't recommend posting it, but those of you that absolutely want it, it's there. Okay, so let's get to the writing sample. So this is the Stipula Etruria Rainbow can't write this morning. Prisma, and it's a limited edition. The nib is my favorite Stipula stub. And I believe it's a 0.9. Incidentally, these Stipula pills, nibs or pens come in a variety of different sizes. You can get them, they have a flex, they have a extra fine, medium, bold. They have a 0.9 stub, and I believe they have a 1.1 stub. The ink that we are using today is the Mont Blanc Irish Green. And, I use green. I forgot to mention it just because today is March the 19th. But, we just celebrated, St. Patrick's just a couple of days ago. So I figured I'd use the green. And I forgot to mention it as to why we were using green. That was my principal reason. But so as you can see, the nib is light, but at the same time very smooth. There is some give to this nib. Look at the give that gives me. So there is a little bit of flex that gives me even more line variation if I want, to get it. But you don't want to spring the nib, so you got to be careful, But I think it's a fabulous nib. I recommend it. Yeah, I know Joe is, is up there in terms of my favorites, but when you have to, for example, on a small agenda like this, where the lines are thinner and you don't want a 1.5 necessarily, and you need to write in smaller areas, for example, so you need a thinner nib. I don't like mediums. I don't like extra fines and fines because my hand tremor, and I mentioned it already, that it's just a disaster when I write with those pens. So this is the next best thing. So I have them in a lot of my pens, quite a bit. In terms of rating, I think the only drawback to this pen is when it comes time to clean it, to flush it out. It's just a real chore, I've got to tell you. But so long as you use it and you keep using it, then you don't have to clean it out that often. Use proper inks in there so you don't have to constantly clean it, because when you do, you're going to spend a few minutes cleaning it out. That I can tell you. Because of that, and also because it is transparent and because of its resin, the inks have a tendency to color the transparent resin. Okay, but that's the nature of the beast. When you have demonstrators like that or transparent resins, you've got to expect that. So for that reason, I would give this pen, a 9.4. Otherwise, I would say, and I have another Etruria, which is with a converter. I mean, it's not as pretty, and that one, of course, can be cleaned fairly quickly. So the rating in terms of the nib, well, I've raved about this nib, so for me it's a 9.8. Okay, very few. I think it's got the flex, and it got just a little bit of flex. And again, I think they're in-house Stipula. They don't look like Joe, and they don't look like Bach. So they must be Stipula nibs. They do their own nibs. Let me just try to see if I could focus there. Whoops, I'm having a hard time getting the camera to cooperate here today. Well, I just can't. Well, there you go. So, beautiful nib. So, and in terms of price, so if we're going to look at value, at the time, I believe I paid this pen about $200 Canadian. It may probably a little more expensive now, but at $200, the value is A++ for a pen of this quality. So there you have it. It's my Stipula Rainbow Prism limited edition. I hope you enjoyed it. By the way, I'm really ecstatic about my new channel. I think I've been on air for about 30 days. I've almost tripled my viewers. I think I quadrupled my subscribers. I'm starting to get some very fine comments from people who appreciate my work. Please visit my site, my YouTube channel, visit my website. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, greatly appreciate it. I really enjoy doing this. This is my spare time. As you know, I'm an attorney by day and week. And during the weekend, I try to get some therapy. For me, this is my therapy. So enjoy fountain pen therapy and be good, be safe, and we'll speak to you and see you soon. Thank you.